Guys, I just wanted to do a quick screen recording because we didn't get to talk about blocks 2 and 11 um, and 14 for that matter. So I just wanted to go through it quickly. So let's have a look what we have here. This is our 2. We talked about this a little bit in the beginning, so I'm not going to skin this dead horse or skin this dead cat or whatever they call it. But if we have a look here, have a look at Frank's leg right over here on the start. You see how it's kind of going sideways and not really backwards. It's not a lot of power. So I think we've identified there's a slight deficiency just in the backwards movement of that. It's kind of working out okay. And actually, Corinne, this was actually, it looks like a good move that you're doing there. Let me back it up a little bit. This looks really good. Like you see how your legs are down and you've got some backwards momentum there. It looks like it's the right thing, but later on when I switched slots to the outside center and I started the move and then I let you guys continue, there wasn't a lot of power in it. So it's the ingredients are there, but you know the recipe hasn't quite come together yet. So I think we've identified we'll do a few drills on that just to get a bit more power in it. You guys are doing the right thing, just a little bit of a lack of power, which is easily fixable just by doing a few drills. So no big deal on this. There were some of these 2s, I'm just going to let it play a little bit, that actually worked out quite nicely. I'm going to look for the next 2 before we talk about this 11. Just to have a look at 1, 2 full speed. So key, go, not too bad, finish up. So it's definitely, it's possible. It's just not as synchronous and as kind of smooth as we would like it to be. So we're going to definitely work on those. So let's look at our 11s quickly. Nice setups for the 11s. We could have the top pair slightly higher. It's actually going. So you see on the key, Danny is actually starting the lift already. So Frank, as you pick up that 11, you can start to load it slightly upward with Dan, just so when the key comes, you don't have to go up and then over. You've got a little bit of that upward pressure already. But it's looking good so far. So let's look at the top pair. Top pair is doing a good move. Dan, a little bit of an early head switch on this, but not bad. I'd also like to see it tighter. It doesn't have enough spin on it. Frank, what you really want to do is kind of anchor yourself, assist Dan with the backwards move, like pull him forward and towards you and rotate around him. He should feel quite secure that you've kind of got him and you kind of protecting him if anything goes wrong, rather than him trying to. Because when he's looking over his shoulder and he's trying to see, it's because he's not quite sure what's happening underneath him. If I let this play, you guys turn, but there wasn't, it looked like you were working it. So this is another drill we'll do where we'll, on the top pair, just do a couple of these spins and we'll try different techniques when we pick it up to see if we can spin it a little bit smoother. It might involve getting a little bit closer, the pair closer together, maybe putting an elbow over the back of the other person, maybe even taking your hand and wrapping it around the leg and spinning it that way and just leaning into each other and see if it spins kind of reasonably. We don't really need to translate this like we used to. It's kind of a spin in place. So whatever technique is going to get you guys to kind of just spin it comfortably around. So it's kind of like a half a spin, go into cruise control, look what the other pair's doing, and then continue the spin. It's not difficult once we figure out that relationship. But again, it's one of those blocks where we have to be on the same page. If we do the same thing at the same power and the same speed, it just flows effortlessly. It feels like you're doing nothing. If we're doing different techniques or our timing's off or we're trying slightly, then we end up working against each other. And then it goes, but it's a fight. It feels like you really have to work it around rather than just fluidly, effortlessly spinning it. So not bad. You guys were always where you needed to be, sometimes a little bit high. Then you guys figured out the levels. So it's perfectly acceptable now, but we can certainly evolve that into a little bit more of a spinny, fluid piece. Looking at the bottom, Corinne, I thought you did an amazing job in the 11s. I know you were being quite critical, and you were saying you didn't feel like you had enough power, and your starts weren't good enough, etc., etc. They look great to me. Look at this. This is a good key. Look at this good build. I actually love this build. The top pair is slightly loading up to the top, Frank, you're reaching down for that grip. If you're comfortable doing that, by all means. Usually I would just pick up a calf or a shin of Corinne here. So I'm actually picking up more on level than I am reaching down. I've even picked up a booty toe before. Whatever you need to do, whatever makes you feel comfortable, right? But I really enjoy this slightly load that preload that you guys have going on there. I'm going to go for pause. Look at this, Corinne. It's perfect. And this is the hardest part. The hardest part is getting started. And as you fly with people, with teams that are kind of at your own level, you tend to take things a little bit slower. You're waiting for the key to come. The key comes, you react to it, you put in the input, and it goes, right? You get used to flying like that. So if you get put into a situation or scenario where you have to pick up the pace a bit or you have to go a little bit sooner, it's not that you're not capable of doing it, you just haven't done that enough. So you're not used to inputting sooner, etc. Often we like, wait for the key, don't go too soon, be patient, be relaxed. So you learn to fly like that, and then you wait a little bit, and then you do your move. And that's perfectly acceptable while you're learning. But I suspect that sometimes you feel like maybe you fly with, Joey or Chris or one of your coaches or some other people. They might have a faster, initiation of a move, maybe they key a little bit faster. You get that feeling like, oh, you can't get started or you don't have enough power. That's just because you haven't done it enough. If we had to do this block 100 more times and I started sooner, like I picked up and I keyed immediately, you would automatically get to this position that you're in now sooner. It's just a natural evolution of the thing. You can't force it when it's not necessary. So all I'm trying to say is, like, the way you're doing it now is perfect, and your technique is great, and you're going in the right place, and it feels good to me. So as you need to do this sooner, you'll just learn to do it sooner. If I start to key faster, it might catch you out a few times, and then you'll learn to, like, okay, it's going to come sooner, and you'll start to preload and prepare for it a little bit sooner. And usually by the time you get to that point, the team's at a level where we have a bit more trust that we're in the right place. So as my hand's reaching out, we know a key is going to come because we have that level of trust, which means we can start to go sooner. But until we build that up, we can't really start. So sometimes you might feel like you're having a sluggish start, but that's just a product of where we are with our skydiving now. So there's nothing wrong with it at all. So I'm going to play this through. Beautiful. We're looking at the top pair. Good interpicture there. I can see where it's going to end up. I come through. Tap. That one is a little bit high. Let's go look at our next one. Okay, there I was telling Frank to go backwards more. On the 2, we didn't quite win this battle, but another day. Let's look at this 11. Beautiful. Look at that interpicture. It's beautiful. Top pair is 180. We're 180. Coming across. Finish. And we did much better ones than this. These ones had a little bit much of a level. Let's look if we have another one here. Okay. I'm going to close this. Whoops. What is happening? Actually, I want to close this thing. Am I still recording? Let's see if I am. Yes, I am. I'm going to play this video quickly. Let's have a look. Nice 2. Not ideal, but we're going to get there. And let's look at I-11. Don't worry that I took the wrong grip there. Let's look at our next one. If I recall, I don't think I even took a grip in the next one. Too many things I'm thinking about. Let's have a look here. Okay, so a little bit high from the top pair. Like, you guys are coming down nicely. We're coming up to meet you and we're making it work. Frank, this is something that I was kind of focusing on there. As we're finishing up, your 2 should be a turn in place and a step forward in front of Dan. It's almost like you were focusing on me too much and you were coming into me. I actually had to stop you a few times. Like, stay out, stay in your position in the middle of the tunnel. You're coming too close to my side. So just a center point and a step forward in front of the outside flyer. Okay, I just want to look at one more 11. See if there's anything else I want to say about this. Okay, so let's look at this quickly. So this is just back onto the 2. I wanted to work the drill with Frank. So you see the body pitch. Sticking out your legs is just a mechanism to pitch your body. So I've stuck out my legs, I've dropped my chest down, I've allowed my chest to become heavy. That's giving me the pitch to go forward. And then the same to go backwards. As I go forwards, It's legs together, feet down, hands up, and I've reversed the pitch. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So Frank, you're doing a good job. This is the right technique. We just have to practice that it becomes a little bit more flowy, almost like you scoop into it. So have a look at this drill that I do here. And this is something that you and Corinne can do at some point. Just back and forth, back and forth. Practice rocking your body. See, legs up, legs down, legs up, legs down. I'm just scooping, rocking back and forth, just getting used to that pitch. It's kind of an aggressive pitch. I'm like rocking the baby, swinging back and forth, just getting used to having that kind of position. All right, let's have a look at this, see where we're at. $14. Okay, great builds on our 14s eventually. Very nice. Really good improvement with the 7s. They really came a long way towards the end. Let me look at this 14. I think we read it 14 on the next jump, so I might just actually fast forward to that. Okay, I'm a little bit ahead of Frank. I could definitely do to slow down here a little bit. Coming around, right pickup, left, super soft and smooth. Love it. Not bad. So let's see what we did the next jump. I think we obviously repeated this one. So let me look at it. Oh, look at the 7, Corinne. So much better. The previous one, if you just rewind a second to what I did, your turn had at least a foot more distance between us. Now you've really embraced getting into me on the side. And look how tight this is. Coming across, and you land right on the grips. It's perfect. Good J's, guys. Nice 14. Everyone's really still and stable. Better timing between all of us. Soft pickup to the 7. Beautiful. Doesn't get better than that. We'll do 1,000 of those, and then as we all start to fly a little bit better, we'll get a little bit better. Sometimes both Frank and Corinne, I've noticed that when you want to go a little bit faster, you get off pitch. So you always want to make sure when you're turning, you're flat turning. Okay, so let's see if there's an example of this. That's a decent turn. Let's have a look at this 14. I just want to see how this one goes. So this is kind of an example. I'm going to use you, Corinne, just because you're closer to the screen here. So here you're turning. It's kind of flat. It starts to get a little bit off now. Now watch this. I'm going to freeze frame. You're looking, you're looking, you're looking. And your body's no longer flat. There it comes into flat. But there was definitely that moment of pitchiness. I want to see the next one. Let's have a look how this one goes. There we go. That's a very good example. Okay, so let's look at me first. I want you to focus on me. Have a look how flat my body stays as I'm spinning, right? My belly. Look at yourself, Corinne, when you're coming around. So look at this. If I had a freeze frame that's not flat at all. And that's very difficult to maintain. You're doing a very good job of working through it and ending up in the right place. But this is not ideal. This doesn't lend itself to increasing speed and power. I suspect you might just be trying to see too much. Right? We need to trust the fact, I'm just rewinding here, we need to trust the fact that we can all turn. We can do a 360-degree turn or 540. Use your markers when you need them, but don't try too hard to see. So as we turn, let's look at you, Corinne. Turn, 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 turn. At this point, forget the eye contact. There's nothing to see anymore. It's a split second until you're around. The more you try and see, the more you'll get the pitch, right? So now you should be looking straight. See, your head hasn't even switched yet. Now we come around, you actually haven't even the head switched. Now we come around, you're looking into the center. I think you're trying so hard to see what's going on. Look where your neck is. It's really bent right over here. There's like quite a bend in your neck, and it's causing this pitch on your body. So as you come around, you're trying to look, you get pitched, and then you settle into it. So I think it's purely a product of trying to see too much. And often I tell first timers this, and it contradicts sometimes what their AFF instructors or the coaches at the drop zone are telling them. But I'm like, don't worry about eye contact so much in a turn. You turn, start to turn, you keep, you can turn your head 30 degrees, but then almost look straight ahead. Because when I'm 90 degrees, I can see you in my peripheral, then I've got 180 degrees to go. And if I'm doing a decent flat turn, it's going to be a split second before I've done that 180, where in the last 90, I can pick you up again. And then I pick you up, I look forward, I come, and then it's all peripherals again. So with wind tunnels, we don't have to coach like we used to back in the day. Like as you start your turn, look, keep eye contact, and then all of a sudden do a head switch and then come around. And I mean, I saw that years, 10 years ago, 20 years, 15 years ago. I was running these beginner camps, and I used to teach people that because that's the way I was taught. And I realized, like, the more I tell them to keep eye contact, the more pitchy and the more stalled out their turns got, because they would try so hard in the first half to keep eye contact, they would actually, their chest would open up and it would stop the momentum of the turn. Then they would do this aggressive head switch as they came around to try and pick up their partner again, and they would get this pitchy, wavy, off-axis type of turn. The benefit of just doing a flat turn, trusting that you can turn and losing eye contact for that little bit longer, it's riskier because maybe you'll lose out on a level or two, because that's what will happen. If you don't look at your partner, you come out, you might be a foot high, a foot low, because that's when the real fall rate comes to in effect. But with wind tunnels now, we get to practice this so much, and we get so good at turning, that if we just let it go, trust our turn, that 180 degrees of, where we can't see much, is almost irrelevant. We come out, and then as we come out, we'll just fix that whatever tiny level we have. And if 4 of us are doing it, it's almost indiscernible. So that's all I have to say. A couple of times you got kind of pitchy on those turns, but that's, again, a drill we can do. You just have to do a bunch of turns. We'll do some eyes closed turns, some back and forth turns, just to practice the stopping power and getting into it. Just so this turn there, again, there's just too much body pitch in that. Everyone does it. Danny does it sometimes as well, and I've been working with him. And when he goes up and spins, flat spin. Let's not get pitch in our body, because that's very difficult to control. Okay, so I'm going to beaten that dead horse. Let's see what this one is. This video is running a little bit long now. What do we got here? What's that, 20? I mean, our 19. We looked at the 19s. Perfect. So we already looked at those. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say. Good work. I think there's a little bit of improvement to be done on the 11s for the top pair specifically. Karina, I'm really happy with your moves on the 11 at the bottom. I'm really happy with your 19 moves. All of the things that you've said you feel you could do better at. Personally, I feel you're exactly where you need to be on them. You're learning good technique. You're doing it the right way. We're doing it calmly. As the level of skydiving increases and improves, so will your technique in terms of just recognizing it sooner, maybe inputting slightly sooner so you don't feel like you're that split second behind. But those are all just the natural evolution of how your skydiving is going to evolve from this point. So the foundation is perfect. Like I said on the 11s, I think next time if I get to fly with you guys again, I'd like to switch slots and actually be on the top pair for the 11, just so I can feel what it's like. And Frank can do some drills with Dan or with me where we just try a few different ways of spinning that in terms of arm placements and how we lean into each other and which legs we use, how much hip we give, just to get into a position that's comfortable where we can just pick it up and together just spin it around and stop it smoothly without having to work so hard. But other than that, that's all I have to say on those. All right, guys. Thank you. Talk to you soon.